Are you ready for your story? So many people just rush by. They're in a rush. Their head is lost in their thoughts. I think it's kind of zen. It's, be here now. Let's do this. Let's play. Why not? So I was an editor in Chicago at the American Bar Association. I always had a sense of adventure. For Halloween, one night I was lying in bed thinking about it, and I went, I think I can do this. In April of 1983, I took my typewriter onto the street on Michigan Avenue. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, this is a big mistake. I was starting to feel very embarrassed and nervous. So I sit down, I put the little sign, 60-second novel. Sir, would you like a story? Miss, would you like a story? And everybody's ignoring me. And then a older woman came over and said, what are you doing? I will have a story. And I just talked to her for a minute. And I wrote just a few sentences. I pull it out of the typewriter and there's like 20 people around me. And I read it to her. Everybody claps. And I'm like, what just happened? And I did it for a couple hours and I made like $50. And I thought, wow, this is people like this. What did I just invent? I was from the New York area. I said, let me go back to New York for a weekend and write stories. And I went to New York and I wrote stories for 2 days and I made like $500. And I said, I am out of here with this job. So I quit my job. My boss told me, Dan, don't do this. This is a mistake. I was like, thank you for the, thank you, but I'm going to give it a shot. I moved to New York and never looked back. Sometimes I think I'm crazy. I mean, I've done it now for 38 years. I wear a yellow sport coat and a yellow bow tie and a yellow hat. They're like, he must be some kind of performer. Wow, what is this? So when I started, people were still using typewriters. Some people were still using typewriters. In 1983, very few people had a computer. So to have a typewriter was no big deal. It's turned into this retro typewriter, and I'm going to just do this old-fashioned thing called talking. Have a conversation, listen. What I'm doing is interacting with the person, talking with them, trying to get a sense of them, and then writing something for them. And those are selected stories that also make sense to other people. It's just for that person. So I kind of think it's like a unique. Some people are lonely. I definitely get people who I feel like I'm the first person they've had a real conversation with in years. Folks tell me about divorce, mental illness. I'm like totally open to them. I'm not judging them. I am there to write their story. I did it 4 years, but pretty soon I got into the whole party and event where people were paying me a lot of money to show up and do the stories. That's how I've been able to buy a house. At private parties, big corporate events, birthday parties, all that kind of thing. And it was actually seeming kind of dull and stupid. Like I began to feel, like what am I doing here? Yeah, like I really missed doing it for ordinary people, and I met my wife doing a 60-second novel for her.
He was really handsome and he had like freckles. And then he also asked me about their lives and wrote me a story that was really comforting. It said, one day Alice will be walking by the ocean, will come a man. Later, that when he wrote that story, we were sitting at Rye Playland near the ocean, near the beach, the sound. And we've been on a long journey together, 30 years of marriage. Realized that other people were talking about him as odd that he was sitting on the street doing it, but he's also a New York Times writer and a science writer. I'm proud of him.
It's not a photograph of a person. It's my creative interpretation. Yes, it's pretty insane that there's 50,000 little life stories. It is. With COVID then, because like more than a year went by, I would like to do it on the street again, to the original idea, which was to be with ordinary people. When I did it on the street, it's my world. I've invented it. For the individual person, I think people just like this idea that there's someone there listening and waiting. Why aren't there writers everywhere sitting on the street ready to tell people's life stories?